Hello and welcome to another episode of Feeding Fatty. This is Roy.
I'm Terry.
So we are the podcast that, we're chronicling my journey through this weight loss, getting healthy, wellness journey that we're on. And then also, Terry is my support mechanism helping me through this. So she's got her story to tell too. But the other thing that we do is we have other guests on that are experts in different areas that can help us out. And today is no different. David Medansky, the health maestro, actually. He's a retired attorney and an internationally best-selling author and America's newest authority on successful weight loss. In July of 2016, his doctor told him to lose weight or find another physician. He didn't want David dying of a heart attack on his watch. Within months, David dropped 50 pounds. He wrote about his inspirational weight reduction journey and lifestyle transformation and how you can do the same in his book, If Not Now, When? Reduce Weight, Create a Healthy Lifestyle. David, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us, and we're looking forward to it. And just, we appreciate you sending the book ahead of time, and Terry's had a chance to look at it, and I think she has generated a lot of questions and a lot of stuff. But before we get into all of that, just kind of tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you find yourself and in the midst of your doctor trying to fire you if you didn't get yourself under control. And I know that's I'm not quite there yet, but I do understand that can be a hard place to be in.
Well, thanks for having me, Roy, as a guest, and Terry. Appreciate it very much. With most people, when I was younger, I was fit and trim. However, life gets in the way, and before I realized it, the weight had crept up, and I was over 225 pounds. I'm 5'8", and my doctor told me, based on my lab results and being significantly overweight, that I needed to either find a new doctor, as you said, or lose the weight because he didn't want me dying on his watch. Now, normally being in the 95 percentile is a good thing, except when it's a death sentence. So,
Exactly.
with that sword hanging over my head during the next 4 months, I shed the 50 pounds, as you mentioned. And the most important thing is I've kept it off.
Yes.
What I did was I started rereading the books I had from the 1970s, books like by Richard Simmons, Jack LaLanne, Paul and Patricia Bragg, and other authors. And then I started reading the current books that are out there today. And what I learned was there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions being in the newer books. The older books actually had better information. The problem today is people go on diets to lose weight. And a
Right.
diet tends to be temporary, extreme, hard to stick with, and potentially dangerous. What you need to do is actually change your lifestyle. And the way I look at it is a diet is similar to a sprint. It has a finish line. And once you reach that finish line, most people revert back to their old eating habits. If you
Exactly.
lose weight by changing and improving your lifestyle, it's similar to running a marathon, except there's no finish line. You just keep going and going and going. So that's part of my journey. I wanted to help others so they don't experience the same oh risk that I was at for an early death.
Right.
Also for people to improve how they feel, increase their vitality, have more energy, feel better and look better, and have more self-confidence in themselves. So that's my mission right now, is
Right.
to help other people.
Right. And, it's so important that you mentioned, because that's kind of where we're at, or where I'm at, is that, I don't want to do a fad or do something that is short term, because like you said, it has a finish line, and then what happens after that? And if we don't, my opinion is, only if we don't change our behaviors, if we can't get our minds right, we can lose all the weight doing whatever the short term fix is. And then as soon as we get through and try to integrate back into normal life, we put it back on. And I mean, I throw myself under the bus and say, I've been there before. And so that's why this time I'm trying to find that, a healthy balance of things that we can do, because sometimes we don't know too, these diets, the fad diets and things like that, they can have other health, we may lose weight, but they have other health implications on us as well.
Exactly. And they're finding people who are in the keto diet, most of them are doing improperly. And after a year or two, they're starting to develop what I call latent or delayed negative side effects because you're denying your body the proper nutrition. You have to
Right.
look at food as fuel for your body.
Right.
And there's a quote by Heather Morgan I love where she says, every time you eat or drink something, you're either fighting disease or feeding disease.
Interesting.
I'm paraphrasing. However,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
gist of it. And that's how I look at it is, am I putting something into my body that's going to give it the right nourishment and fuel
Yeah.
and treat it like a high performance car? Or even, most people feed their pets better than they do themselves.
Right. Well, it's the interesting thing is that when we started this, we signed up for an app that was really good because it not only it had the micronutrients as well, and I think people would be surprised even trying to eat good and what we thought was good with our vegetables and meat and not doing anything extreme, just saying we're eating a well balanced meal, how deficient we were in a lot of micronutrients that are very important. So the nice thing is the app has it kind of will prod you to say if you're short on this, these are foods and where you can recapture that. And so I know it's not the end all be all, but especially as we age, there's certain things that we need to help us age healthy. And so
Right.
but anyway, I think it's just important that when we do these fads or we go to the extremes, I can only imagine how much these micronutrients that we need that we're losing out on.
Exactly. And most of us know what to do to reduce weight in a healthy manner. We just choose not to do it, or we
Right.
forget, or maybe we're not aware of some of the things that we should be doing, or
Right.
we have bad habits. And how I look at it is bad habits are hard to break,
Yeah.
and new habits are difficult to create. And the way I explain it is if you just look at your daily routines, those become your behaviors, and then your behaviors then consistently become new habits.
And before I let Terry jump in here with some questions that are book specific, that's the biggest hurdle for me that I don't know if can give advice or speak to how you overcame the those habits, because it's not that, like you said, we know what to do, but unfortunately, whether it's laziness or life or other things, we all I tend to revert back to these bad habits. And it's just I can do the right thing for a few weeks or a month, and then so I'll give an example here of late. I got back into the gym a couple weeks ago and was doing awesome, and then things have gotten so busy that I haven't been able to make it over there. We've tried to take some short walks, but it's just once I get that day off, or once I can't do something because of life, it's really hard to pick it back up and just keep moving.
Well, here's an interesting thing. People who think exercising is correlated with weight loss are mistaken. It's a myth.
Right.
100% of what you put into your mouth has to do with your weight. You can
Right.
lose weight without exercising. However, poor eating habits will never overcome, your exercise habits. And what
Right.
happens is people will get frustrated. And I'll tell a little story if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
uh, One of my clients was doing everything he was supposed to as far as modifying and improving his eating habits. However, he was frustrated after a couple weeks. The scale was not showing any difference for his weight.
Right.
I asked him, I said, well, are you exercising? He says, yes, I'm going for walks. He's walking about 5 miles a day total, and he's riding his bicycle and doing other things. And I said, well, how are your clothes fitting? He said, well, they're looser. And he says, people are noticing that I'm slimming down. They make
Yeah.
comments. And I said, don't go by the scale because you're
Right.
replacing your fat with muscle, and muscle and
Right.
fat weigh the same. However, muscle takes up less room. So give it time. And that's where people get frustrated is they'll go to the gym, they'll be exercising for a week or two. However, the scale won't show any change. So it's
Right.
like, well, why bother? I'll give up. If they keep going, like my client did, then all of a sudden the number on the scale went down.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So the important thing is your clothes will tell you how you're doing.
Right. Yeah, and I've always heard a trick on that is if you take your measurements when you start on those weeks when you're not losing weight and you're feeling down like that, if you'll get the tape out and measure, usually you'll find some inspiration in the inch loss or, the I guess the movement of our measurements, however that works.
But the other thing is they did research in England, and what they found is it takes an average of 66 days to create a new habit, not
Wow.
30 days, not 21 days. So you need to give it time. And Darren Hardy has he wrote The Compound Effect. And what he talks about is it's the little seemingly inconsequential improvements that you do
Right.
consistently for a long
Right.
period of time that will give you noticeable results. And the two operative words are consistently and long period of time. And
Right.
that's the difference where people want instantaneous results. They
Yeah.
listen to the commercials on TV from the national brands and think, oh, I'll drop 20 pounds the first month. It's unrealistic, nor is it healthy for you to do it that fast.
Right. Yeah. In that I've read a similar book. It's called The Slight Edge, and basically, he makes the same point. And he likes to use the baseball player. If you were to go out today and hit 500 balls at the batting cage, and you never went back out there, you're not going to see much improvement. But if you go out and hit 500 balls every day for the next 6 months, you will definitely see those improvements, and vice versa. You if you have a bad habit, say smoking, if you quit smoking for a day but pick it back up, you're not going to see much. So I think that's an important, and that probably gets back to making the smaller incremental changes that we can be consistent over time, versus too many making huge changes or too many changes at one time. And I know I've read that as well, and I'm guilty of that. You wake up today and you're going to change everything, and
Well,
it just makes it so much harder.
And then at 2 o'clock, you need a candy bar.
Yeah. What
Come
I
on.
what I tell people is I ask them, would you like to weigh, 20, 30, 40 pounds lighter by this time next year? Most people say, well, of course. And I ask, can you lose 2, 3, or 4 pounds a month? Not a week, in a month. And most people are like, well, that's doable. Well, if you lose 2, 3, or 4 pounds a month on average for 12 consecutive months, that's anywhere from 24 to 48
Right.
pounds.
Right.
However, it's being patient and giving it
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Also, no one is perfect. And if
Yeah.
you get off track, you just need to not beat yourself up, be positive, and start over again.
Yeah.
The only caveat I will say with that is be careful of making exceptions because they tend to become the rule.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
Then you start celebrating.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the same, that's the habit I fall in, and do really good, fall off, and then it's like, yeah, I'm off, so I might as well just continue these bad habits. But anyway, I'm gonna let Terry ask a couple questions that she's pulled out of the book that she'd like to talk about.
Well, I really enjoyed this book, and it was an easy read. I enjoyed it a lot, and you covered a lot of issues.
Yeah, well, I'll testify to that. I'd be
I-
weird as I'm trying to go to sleep at night. I get the elbow like, oh my God, we need to drink more water, and then she'd be telling me all the points that she is reading every night.
he couldn't read anything, so really he was reading it as well. But so your jumping off point was going to the doctor and then him telling you if you don't lose that weight, then death is imminent, basically.
Yes.
So and that's all it took for you.
For me, that's all it took. For other people, it's other things. I have a couple clients. One was borderline type 2 diabetic. And then he called me and said, can we work together? I said, sure. Started helping him. He kind of drifted away. And then he called me and says, now I'm a full type 2 diabetic. What can we do? So he's more enthusiastic. What they say is, what's your why? If you don't have a big enough why, you're not going to do it. You need to make a commitment. Everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody has a desire to do it. The difference is those people who make a commitment to do it. And that's the difference. Other people I talk to, their biggest fear is becoming a type 2 diabetic, or they're already a type 2 and want to get off the medication. And type 2 diabetes, for the most part, is reversible. The sad statistic is 80% of people who are age 50 or older are either a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. 80% of people who are 50.
Wow.
I mean, it just blows my mind when I think of that.
Yeah, and we talked to a guest last week that she reminded me of a good point, is that, and again, I don't have all the research to back this up, but I've heard this multiple times, that dementia and Alzheimer's is what they have termed type 3 diabetes. Basically, that if we let this type 2 run long enough, bad enough, then I guess it can be a precursor to, having Alzheimer's. So if the medication and all the other side effects of, losing toes, limbs, circulation, messing up your eyesight, if that's not enough to make you want to change, then that whole threat of being more susceptible to Alzheimer's should definitely wake you up.
Well, actually, I had a friend ask me when I wrote the first book, The Discover Your Thinner Self, how many people would rather keep their poor eating habits and risk having a disease or illness that's debilitating or even death? And I said, I don't know. He says, research and see. And I was amazed how many people would rather keep their poor eating habits and risk those ailments, even, certain types of cancer and early death, struggling just to survive each day, than give up their junk food and their fast foods and convenient foods.
Yeah. Why is it that people feel like they're bulletproof? I mean, it's like you have that teenager mentality, and then you just kind of carry it on, it seems like.
Yeah, I think it's denial, because I can only speak for me, that it's like, well, that's not really on your mind at the time you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. It's more in the moment, and that short I guess the sugar and the carbs release some endorphins that give you that high or the energy or whatever you're looking for. But then, in clear moments, like, when you wake up the next day and think, oh, what did we eat last night? Then it's like, oh, I need to clean myself up because of all these things.
Well, we all understand it's difficult to give up cigarette smoking. People understand there's a danger with, lung cancer and throat cancer and other things. However, cigarettes are addicting. Same thing with an alcoholic. They know that alcohol is bad for their liver. It's an addiction. And that's why it's difficult to give it up without a support group. Food is addicting. And people may not realize, but they've scientifically engineered the food today to be addictive. They've optimized it to increase your cravings for fat, salt, sugar, and texture. So when they say, bet you can't eat just one potato chip, it's not a dare, it's a fact. In fact, they've done research, Oreo cookies, and I guess there's like 66 different types of Oreo cookies now or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're more addicting than cocaine. So imagine that a cookie is more addicting than an illegal substance. Wow. So that's you can't really blame people sometimes, because food is an addiction. What I used to tell people is the number one reason people overate was because of stress or boredom. And what do people do to get away from stress? They go on vacation. And what do you do on vacation? You eat and drink. However, I was listening to another doctor, and what he was saying, it's no longer stress, it's convenience. It's just easier to go through a drive-through at a fast food place. It's easier to order a pizza. It's easier to get a frozen meal and pop in the microwave or open a package.
Right.
People are not eating real food anymore. They're eating what I call edible products because they're manufactured and processed foods.
Well, and kind of that point on the the addiction in that we're all addicted to some way to McDonald's French fries, and I'd read an article a long time ago about them that what their trick is that they used to soak them in sugar water before that they fried them up, so that they have a lot. You get the sugar and you get the salt too, so that's one reason that makes them.
Well, actually, I can dispel that myth because I used to work
Okay.
at
Oh,
McDonald's
yay.
way back in the day, and when they had the fresh potatoes and we had to peel them, and then what they would do is they would blanch them, and then they would fry them later. However, it was the oil they used because they used
Okay.
lard, and so it was the oil that gave it the extra crispiness and flavor, and the way they processed it. There was no sugar water used in it, so
Oh,
that's
there.
a
Okay.
myth.
Ah,
That's a
see, the
myth. Okay.
grapevine starts. Those French fries back then were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're just
So
filled with preservatives and chemicals.
yeah, trying to keep. Nobody wanted the lard. The lard was a big thing. Okay, well then they just added more stuff.
Well, no, it was easier to make frozen fries than fresh ones.
Then well,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, so 10 behaviors to improve and change to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Let's talk about that chapter.
Sure. What would you like to know about that chapter? The
Well,
first behavior is to drink more water. And the reason being
yes.
is 75% of the US population is chronically dehydrated. And there's a correlation to people being overweight. 71% of the US adult population is overweight, of which 42% are clinically obese. The reason being more people are drinking soda, diet soda, orange juice, or fruit juices and fruit flavored beverages than they do water. Yet our bodies are composed of 60 to 70% water. Well, it's not made of diet soda or soda or fruit juices. So you need to drink more water.
Yeah, and I like the hint that you gave too about drinking 2 cups, I think, or drinking
2 glasses
two
of water
glasses before you
prior,
eat.
10 minutes prior to before you eat.
Right. The first thing I
prior
do
to
in the
eating.
morning is I have a 16-ounce glass of water, sometimes 2. And you rehydrate from sleeping overnight. So that's that's 16 ounces, or 1 8-ounce glass is fine for most people. And then again, if you just drink 2 glasses of water before each meal, 1 mid-morning, 1 mid-afternoon, you've got your minimum of 64 ounces. The rule of thumb is drink 1/2 of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 220 pounds, drink 110 ounces of water. If you're unable to drink that much water or build up to it, start out with a minimum of 64 ounces.
Okay. All right. So, and then, there was another one that I was going to ask you about, and I just
About
lost it.
sleeping, sleep is an important
The
factor for
sleep,
weight loss.
yes, oh my gosh, we really have a problem with that, but I'm sure many people do.
Right. And
Just
what,
trying to do
what
everything.
researchers have found is to lose a pound, you need to reduce your caloric intake 500 calories per day for a full week to lose 1 pound. So the average consumer ingests 3,600 calories per day.
Wow.
The daily requirements are based on 2,000 calories per day.
Right.
If you want to maintain a healthy weight, if you're a guy who's not doing much physical activity, you only need about 1,750 calories. Women only need about 1,250. So people
Wow.
are consuming 2 and 3 times more calories than they need to. And most of them are empty calories because there's a difference with net calories. For example, if you eat an apple has about 100 calories. It takes your body 25 calories to digest it. So your net is 75 calories. If you eat a Hershey bar, it's about 125 calories for a regular size Hershey bar. It takes your body 0 calories to digest and process it. So your net is 125 calories. Plus, the Hershey bar has no nutritional benefit whatsoever, other than maybe comfort, where the apple has a lot of phytonutrients and a lot of nutrients for your body.
Yeah, and that's a good, that goes back to the the exercise. And I don't want to, the exercise for the losing weight is not that important, but for just general health it is important. But we can do the math on this, and it's what people, I always challenge everybody: get a pencil, paper, and a calculator, and sit down and think about that one Hershey bar, except I eat the big one, so it's probably about 250.
King size, terrible idea.
Actually, it's about 450.
Is it? Okay.
Oh,
So we got 450 calories that we just, and that's not eating the chips and everything else that that goes with that. We'll take one item, 450 for that candy bar, and then you go to the gym and you try to walk for, I don't know, an hour. And like for me, I'll be lucky if I burn 140 calories during that walk. So anyway, I just always challenge people: do the math if you need to understand how important the eating factor is in losing weight, because you'd have to go walk. If you want to eat a candy bar, that's fine, but if you think you can walk it off, you'll have to walk about 4 hours a day just to burn that off.
Well, that's the fallacies. People always overestimate how many calories they burn while exercising and underestimate how many calories they're actually consuming. The other thing is, with the exercise, I forgot what I was going to say about the exercise.
Yeah,
but I went back to the sleep issue. What the researchers found is people who are sleep deprived tend to consume an extra 500 calories per day without adequate sleep. So just getting adequate sleep can help you reduce your cravings.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember
20, 20 hours.
With the exercise is important for overall health and fitness. And that's the difference. And what most of my clients find is when they reduce the weight and start shedding some of it, they have more energy. Then they want to become more physically active.
Right.
And you don't have to go to the gym to be more physically active. Like you said, you can go for a walk outside. You can do push-ups. You can do leg lifts. There's just little things you can do to get more physically active.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just bought one of these TRX bands that I put in, behind me, because during the day, it makes me get up out of my chair, which that's the thing that, I can get involved and sit here all day long and never get up. So I just look for those little things that make me get up, make me do something positive. But anyway, we kind of getting back to the sleep is that, as I've paid more attention to myself, that is so true that, when I'm tired, I'm always looking for something to eat to, try to give me that little burst of energy to pick me up. But conversely, when I get a good night's sleep for a few nights in a row and I feel very energized, man, that's when you want to go out and conquer the world and, be very, very active. So to me, that is probably one of my bigger triggers, is the sleep factor.
Yeah, the other thing we talk about is our food portions have been supersized without us realizing it. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Over the years, it's grown so that today it's now 12 inches in diameter.
Wow.
Yet in Europe, it's still 9 inches in diameter for a dinner size plate. In restaurants, the average serving platter is 12, 13, 15 inches. So what I tell people is, if you're at a restaurant, order your food, get a to-go box right away. Take half, put it in your to-go box, just eat the half there. And that way you get 2 meals for the price of one. So you're saving money and not overeating.
Exactly. No, that's a good habit to get into.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is the cost of nutritious food versus the non-nutritious food. And you explained it really well about how, well, you explain it because it will come much better out of your mouth.
Well, okay.
Just let's talk about that.
Sure. Let's start with eggs. Most people don't realize there's a difference between regular eggs, where the hens are kept in a cage, what they call cage-free, which really aren't cage-free hens if you actually see how they raise them.
Yeah.
And then there's pasture eggs. Now, pasture eggs are where the hens actually forage outside for their own food. They eat bugs, worms, grass like they're supposed to. Cage free, if it says that they have special feed or grain fed, that's corn and soy. That's unhealthy because it's in the egg. So the price of eggs can be anywhere from $1.99 for regular eggs, and pasture eggs can cost anywhere from $4.50 to $9 depending where you get them. People are like, I don't want to spend $6 or $7 on a dozen eggs. Well, if you think about it, it's only 50 cents an egg. If you spend $6 for a carton, then there's a dozen in them. However, they have no qualms going to McDonald's and getting a breakfast sandwich or combo meal that they're spending $4.50 to $6 for one meal. So
Right.
there's a difference there. The other thing is most of the drive-throughs, an average meal is anywhere from $6 to $8. It doesn't cost that much to get a can of tuna as long as it's packed in water. Eat maybe a half an avocado or an apple and a slice of Ezekiel bread as opposed to the processed breads that are on the shelf. Ezekiel bread's found in the frozen food section. If you don't
Yes.
refrigerate it after 2 weeks, it goes bad. Or if you get the regular shelf bought breads, um, they can last for 6, 7 months and still look fresh because of all the chemicals in there. So that's it. That's just little things like that if you think about it. The other thing with tuna, if you look at the front of most cans, it'll say packed in water. However, if you turn it over and look at the nutritional fact label, it'll say it'll say tuna, water, vegetable broth, and sometimes sea salt. Well, my question is what's in the vegetable broth? And it can be up to 168 different compounds in there. So you don't know what's actually in the water,
Wow.
vegetable broth that's in the tuna. The only places I found actual tuna um, is Wild Planet at Costco, and also the Kierland brand, and also Chicken of the Sea that I get at Costco, which is interesting because the Chicken of the Sea at the grocery store, it says it's packed in um, vegetable broth. So we need
Uh,
to start reading the nutritional fact labels to see what's in there. If you
Right.
eat an organic apple, it's a little bit more expensive than regular apples. However, what they're finding is regular apples, have the chemicals in there from the pesticides and the fertilizers that they're using. So I look at it as like the Fram oil commercial from way back in the 70s.
Yes. Yeah.
You can pay me a little now to do it right, or you can pay me a lot later to fix it when it's messed up. And it's like your body. You can pay a little bit extra for the healthy nutritional food, or you can wait, you get sick, and then you're starting to pay the doctor your extra money that you save for medical advice. Now you're on prescription medicine, you have less energy, you're not as vital, and so you have a lower quality of lifestyle as
Right.
opposed to just eating a little healthier and paying, the extra money for it.
and very, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at was the, pay now or pay later. And you have to pay in bulk. I mean, just steadily pay or pay in bulk after something happens to you from eating all of this stuff.
Exactly. And the way I look at it is being healthy and eating healthy, it's like paying rent. And the rent is due every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you made a good point that nobody ever thinks twice about zipping through McDonald's and throwing out, $10 for a supersized quarter-pound meal and everything that goes along with that. So we could take that money and spend it a little bit better to eat more healthier, from the grocery store.
Well, now their new gimmick is buy one, get one free. So you can buy one sandwich and get two sandwiches free, which is great if you're going to share the other sandwich with another person. However,
Right.
a lot of people just eat both sandwiches themselves. So now you're over
Right.
consuming and you're thinking, I got a great value. Well, what kind of value did you get? Did you get great value
Yeah.
for your body or did you get great value for your
Right.
wallet?
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to look at it that way.
Yeah, and that's something that's come to light too. I kind of, it's a new catchphrase that I'm try to use more often is, we don't want to outlive our wellness. And I think that's something that, we have to consider with everything we put in our mouth and, a lot of other decisions about things that we do is, to me, the very worst thing that could happen is to, have to live in a shell of a body that doesn't work right, or just not being able to get out of bed or go fun. There's so many things that can go wrong. But anyway, we want to try to match our wellness to our lifespan for sure.
Well, Dr. Bob Martin has a great quote. He says, if you wear out your body, where else are you going to live?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. Biggest challenge and obstacle for you is that you're just not motivated. And there's a reason why. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Most people don't want to give up their convenience. They don't want to, put the time and effort. They don't want to spend the extra money. They don't want to go to the grocery store, and get the fresh fruits and vegetables and then go home and prepare it. So we all procrastinate, and there's reasons. I'll start losing weight or go on my diet Monday, or I'll start tomorrow, or after Christmas or the holidays, or after the company picnic, or after we go to dinner with friends at our favorite restaurant. Tomorrow never comes. We all know that. And if we put off until tomorrow what we can do today, and tomorrow never comes, what that means is we're never going to do what we need to get done. And that's the issue, is people procrastinate. They think, I'll delay until you wake up one morning and you're in a situation like I am, where you're told you have a 95% chance for a heart attack and an early death. I was fortunate. I have classmates that had the heart attack, had the stroke, are type 2 diabetic. I avoided that. I count my blessings. They weren't so fortunate. So a lot of them, it's only after they get the heart attack or the stroke or the type 2 diabetes diagnosis that they start improving their eating habits. And again, a lot of people just don't know where to start, because, again, they're looking at diets. There are thousands and thousands of books written about diets and healthy eating out there. Right now on Amazon alone, there's over 50,000 books on nutrition, health, dieting.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
So one expert will tell you one thing, one will say another, and a third will say both of them are wrong. So who or what do you believe?
What do you listen to?
And act on and trust? It comes down to basics. Yeah, there are what I've identified as 9 principles that are fundamental for just healthy eating. The first one is drink more water. The second one is avoid manufactured and processed foods. That includes deli meats such as the smoked turkey, even if it is low sodium, the ham and pastrami and roast beef. The third thing is eat more holistic whole foods that are real foods, as close to organic as possible. Also, you want to eat slower. You want to reduce your portion sizes. You want to get adequate sleep. You want to have a positive mental attitude and give positive self talk. People may not realize we have over 12,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. And of those thoughts, 80% are negative. Now, can you imagine if you turned around and your self talk or thoughts were 80% positive as opposed to
Right.
negative? So, little things like that is what we talk about in the book to help people, start their health journey. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's, again, diets are designed to fail. They're extreme, they're temporary, they're hard to stick with, and they're potentially dangerous.
Yep.
So people who go on diets and fail to lose weight, it's not their fault. The diet is to blame.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I like also, I just wanted to say, I like that you quoted Walt Disney and keep moving forward in here as well.
Exactly. If you stumble and you have a day where you went out with friends and ate something you weren't supposed to, or indulged a little bit, just start over the next day and keep moving forward, because you start making progress instead of, you'll start taking 2 or 3 steps forward for every 1 step backwards. And before you know it, you'll start getting new routines that'll become new behaviors, that'll become new habits.
One more thing before we wrap up, if we could just touch on quickly, is fasting. Something that we've been thinking about, talking about a little bit more. It's become more. I think there's a lot more talk about it. What's your opinion on the value of fasting?
Fasting's been around for thousands of years. A lot of the religious leaders from Jesus to Buddha to Muhammad all fasted. Um, they did it for spiritual reasons. Fasting is great for um, healing the body. It gives your body time to rest and digest the food. We talk about in the book of a dirty dishes in the sink, and you keep piling up the sink with dirty dishes and you never wash it. Well, soon the sink is overflowing with dirty dishes, and then it's getting gross and bacteria is growing, and you have problems. Well, that's what's happening to your body. If you don't give your body time to clean itself, to digest the food and process it, you keep putting more and more into it. So fasting is important. Now, there's different types of fast. There's short-term fast. A fast can be as little as 4 hours between eating. I like what I call intermittent fasting, and that's anywhere from 12 hours to 16 hours. Some people go 18 hours. It's really easy, and most people do an intermittent fast without realizing it. If, say, you go to bed at, you stop eating at 7 o'clock at night and your breakfast is at 7 o'clock in the morning, well, that's an intermittent fast. That's 12 hours. Again, some experts say you only need 12 hours. Some say 14, some say 16. It's what's best for you and what you're able to do. Build up to it. The trick is to stop eating 3 hours before you go to sleep. Now, some experts will say stop eating after 6 o'clock at night. Some will say 7 o'clock. However, everybody has different work schedules. If you don't get home from work till 6 o'clock, you want to have dinner, it's hard to stop eating at 6
Right.
or
Right.
at 7. So that's why I usually give the rule of thumb is 3 hours before you go to sleep. But fasting is important because, again, it gives your body an opportunity to cleanse itself. If you're going to go on a longer fast of 3 days, which is 72 hours or longer, it should be with medical supervision. And during the fast, you should be drinking mostly water because you want to stay hydrated. And
Yeah.
again, when you're doing a long fast over, a day, you don't want to do much physical activity. You want to give your body an opportunity to rest and cleanse itself. That's the purpose.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask because everybody's definition of fasting is a little bit different too, but mainly it's you can still intake water during that period, but then I have seen some that are like liquids are okay, like a protein shake or whatever
No,
like that. So no,
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 a protein
just
drink is
water.
not okay. You can have water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea.
okay,
Those three things. A protein drink has nutrition in it.
Right.
So your body wants to start processing the nutrition, even though it's a liquid.
okay,
And
okay,
the other
good
thing
to know.
is everybody's, like I said, the example I give, giving the
Yeah,
book about experts. One expert will say you should eat breakfast. Another will say you should avoid breakfast.
right,
And then someone will say, well, you should only eat fruit before your, you know, lunchtime meal. Others will say avoid fruit and only have protein. One research study will say if you increase your protein intake first thing in the morning, you'll have more success losing weight. Another research study will say just the opposite. So again, we're all different. We have different chemical compositions, different hormones, different, body types. So you need to find out what's going to work for your body specifically and your comfort.
yeah. I was just teasing you that was the last thing. One now the other thing that Terry brought up too is the microwave effect.
Oh my
If we could
God.
just hit that just shortly, I promise I'll make that the end.
In doing research, what I've learned is microwaving food is unhealthy and bad for you because it changes the chemical composition. If you Google whether microwave food is unhealthy or not, it will say 90% of the time that it's okay and it's healthy for you. They buried the bad stuff saying it's unhealthy for you. And so the reason being is almost 95% of households have a microwave, and most restaurants use microwave. They don't want you to know that you're not supposed to be eating microwave food. So I avoid microwave food as much as possible. There are times, sometimes it's unavoidable. If you don't know who's preparing the food or how they're preparing it for you. Uh, Again, I'm not a purist. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. No one is perfect.
Right, right.
Just do your best to improve your eating habits. And before you know it, you'll start seeing the improvements. And the biggest
Yeah.
thing, the number one factor for the audience is drink more water, give up the soda and diet soda. And I can hear it now. Well, diet soda has 0 calories. However, most diet soda has aspartame.
Okay.
Aspartame has 92 known side effects that are all negative. And what it causes is weight gain. And people are like, well, how does a product with 0 calories cause weight gain? The aspartame inhibits your body from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So now you're putting your body in starvation mode. So now your body's craving more.
Hmm.
Also, the aspartame increases your craving for sweetness. So now you start eating other things that are sweeter. And
Right.
so it's a vicious cycle. Just understand that diet sodas and sodas are chemicals and they prevent your body from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And that's why your body wants more fuel for itself, and that's why you eat more.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm keeping my promise, David. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to come on the show. It's a very interesting book, and everybody needs to pick up a copy. The other thing I want to ask is, what is something that you do in your daily life, habit, ritual, maybe an app or something that you use, but what do you use that adds value to your life, personal, professional?
Something you couldn't do without.
I start the day with doing affirmations, and my first affirmation is I begin the day with gratitude and being grateful. And begin the day being grateful for all the new opportunities I'm going to receive, all the new connections I'm going to make, all the new information I'm going to learn. So I have a whole list of a page of affirmations. My first thing is, like I said, I start my day with a glass of water, 16 ounces of water. Um, so little things like that. There's things in the book with the affirmations and declarations that people could look at. And the book is available at Amazon and Barnes and Noble and at their library, and they can probably get at their local independent bookstores.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing is just being grateful and counting my blessings.
Okay.
And the
That's
book again is If Not Now When is what the name of the book is.
Correct, and they can go to my website if I can give that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, certainly. I was going
please.
to ask you, because you do some coaching as well. So I want you to be able to tell people, kind of who's your client, what can you do for them, and then of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you, and then also where we can get the book.
Yeah, clients basically anyone over age 40 who wants to make a commitment to reduce weight and improve their eating habits and lifestyle. Uh, they can go to the website of createyourthinnerself.com. Again, it's createyourthinnerself.com. And there's a lot of great articles I write on my blog that gives a lot of great information. So they can read the blogs and get an idea of who I am. There's some videos up there about my weight loss journey. I've been interviewed by Dean Cain, who played Superman on Lois and Clark TV show, interviewed by Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, the original Shark.
Okay.
So there's a lot of great information they can get. And then I also do a free 30-minute consultation for people to see if they are a good fit for the program. The program's very affordable, very inexpensive. I've done it that way. It's a 21-day jumpstart program. So it's 21 days of getting short videos, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, with a little PDF, one page with more information. And I've done it that way so that people can start improving their daily eating habits. And I
Yeah.
call it jumpstart because it takes 66 days to create a new habit. And during this time, I also give them a phone call each week for coaching to talk to them about some of their struggles, obstacles, or challenges, and what they can do to get past them. So
Okay.
there's a lot of great support in there.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
there's also a place on your website that they can pick up the book as well as Amazon, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, y'all go take a look at David. A lot of great information. And I know that, a couple things that we're going to change is getting that water first thing in the morning, and then making sure we at least have a couple before our meals. So that'll be a first good change for us. All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Feeding Fatty. We appreciate all of our listeners, of course. You can find us at www.feedingfatty.com. Also, all the major social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and this video. We will have a video of the interview that will go live on YouTube whenever the podcast comes up. And of course, you can find us on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. And we appreciate you sharing with your friends. And also, if we're not on a platform that you use regularly, please reach out. We'd be glad to get it added. So until next time, that's going to do it for me.
David Medansky, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Lots of insight.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it so much.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yep. Y'all take care of your health. Good. Thanks.